everyone, and welcome again to Leaders Uncut. This is Catherine Oakes, your host. And today it is my pleasure to welcome with us Mark Davis, who is the chairman and CEO of Quanta Standard. Hello, Mark. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. Merci beaucoup. How are you?
Merci beaucoup. Yeah, I'm doing great. Hey, it's Thanksgiving week. Can you believe this? It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's just flown by, but I'm certainly looking forward to the celebrations.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's good to have a little bit of time off too, right?
Yeah.
Good,
So
good. So anyway, I'm so happy that you're here to speak about Quanta because you are doing something very unique there. I love when what you say on your website. You tackle the world's most pressing issues, and that opens doors to so many things that you're doing. So let's start there. Maybe while you are presenting this, speak about why you started this and a little bit of your background that I'm sure influenced that decision as well.
sure. So I grew up on a farm in the States in South Carolina, and I had a wonderful experience because my father was a nuclear chemical engineer, and also he was interested in global affairs. And so it was a really nice balance between being in the countryside and being international. But as a general manager of a nuclear power plant and as a person on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, I was able to have my eyes on nascent technology starting at the age of 6. So looking back, the Commodore and ongoing, and I was always amazed at how many people could be helped and served by technology. And I have dyslexia and I'm blind. And so I was able to have a really strong audio digital learning component whereby I speak a large number of languages. And so by combining my different types of learning with technology, I was able to facilitate a career where at first I was traveling and being a translator as a young guy for Michelin, Fuji, BMW, and then later I went into the diplomatic corps and I worked in the Clinton White House and in the United States Senate in armed services, appropriations, and agriculture. And I was able to see that government was at its best when it was held accountable by technology that ensured that the KPIs and the return on investment for tax dollars actually benefited the people of the United States, of NATO, and for the world. And I continued to work with technologies for 26 years. I lived in Singapore for 10 years and worked all across Asia with defense and government. I did the same in Africa, the Middle East, and Europe, and across North and South America. And what I found in that time was that classical computing had limitations. So ranging from the first technologies with Apple and the Commodore until technologies with ERP systems, SAP and Oracle, I was always on the side of working with the technology to solve problems for large numbers of people. So I had clients like BMW, Dow Chemical, the European Union. I worked with Mercosur and BBC News in South America, the militaries of the Dutch Ministry of Defense and Mendef SAF in Singapore. And I was really amazed at the multiplication effect that happened when people correctly utilized technology, but when they did not, I was amazed at how much harm they could have. And so about 20 years ago, I started to study. I'm a little bit of a nerd. I have 3 bachelors, 3 masters, and 3 doctorates. And
Wow.
so I was just trying to figure out in all of this array of technology, how could we do something that could save humanity and that would be in alignment with quantum dynamics and the natural order? And about 3 years ago, I was in Oxford studying and teaching, and I was listening to a friend of mine at Cambridge. She's a Norwegian, and she's a quantum expert, and she's on the board of directors for one of my companies. And I was just really amazed that someone had finally found a way to articulate quantum in a way that was applicable to society. Since 1920, it had always felt like to society that it was over our head. And so I was able to work with her to work with Air Force bases throughout NATO, and worked with 47 Air Force bases in quantum technology. And then I realized through my friendship with her that there were impacts that were taking place that were affecting the civilian usage of quantum. So what I did is I started to take components from 33 NATO countries, 9 allies, and look at what we could do if we put all of these components together. And I created a grid of technology that I started testing for civilian use in critical infrastructure at places like nuclear power plants, waterways, federal agencies, higher ed institutions, NGOs, hospitals that had been attacked by AI malware. And so that kind of brought me to where I am today. I've got a SWAT team of 26 people in South Carolina, and I have a team of 30 people in Washington, D.C. And together we are starting to do R&D work and work with the government to solve problems that impact all of us, and hopefully protect the critical infrastructure that we face when AI malware and nanotechnology is used rapidly by China, Russia, Iran, and terrorist actors to hack and to hurt our people and our children.
Wow. I mean, you've been everywhere. You've been all over the world. You have private and government experience. You touch on so many different industries and verticals. I mean, you've made such an impact on so many people. I'm so impressed because meeting someone like you is so unusual, and wow, what an honor. So, Mark, obviously you are protecting us here. Most people have no idea on how many attacks we are faced with on a regular basis. Can you give us an idea on the amount of attacks that are actually happening regularly?
Sure, Catherine. The attacks that have taken place in the last 3 years are 36,000, and that's in the United States alone. There have been 120,000 AI malware attacks on critical infrastructure in Europe. And it is seen by our adversaries that we are weak and that we are not able to protect ourselves or to stay updated in technology. And so I have created a diagnostic tool that studies these hits. And in the past 6 weeks, we've had 18,300 hits across the critical infrastructure in the United States during the election. So we can see that our adversaries are no longer doing nuclear warfare. They're no longer sending people to kill. They're harassing, attacking, and taking advantage of the things that we hold most dear: our land, our water, our family, our children, our education, and our media. And so this disinformation, this attack on the structures that harm us most to our core, are the way that our adversaries have slyly become inevitably focused upon harming us. The Chinese, for example, have 400 quantum computers that they've worked with for the last 20 years. The Russians have 350, so they're very close. We in the United States only have 23 solutions, with 3 that are being made. So 26 total solutions for us sounds like a really small number. But if we've been able to do that in 3 years, and we are superior to our adversaries in such a short period of time, then what will that mean if we only continue down this path? My goal as an entrepreneur is to make it possible for my 98-year-old grandmother to be able to look at our platform when I go over and have sweet tea with her this afternoon and carry her some cornbread. I want her to be able to look at my platform and say, look at that, Mark. Look at what we have. We have an end-to-end solution with 13 major pieces that range from diagnostic to simulator to computer to data to energy, and then end up with maintenance and security and data storage that will last for 20 years. And then she can go to her garden club this evening and she can say, well, the young generation has finally stood up and become great like our generation. And now they are protecting us. We don't have to worry anymore. We can enjoy living and we can enjoy relaxing. And that's my hope that I have with this technology.
That's just incredible. To me, there's such a disconnect. We are the most powerful country in the world. Yes, yet we seem to be so far behind what others are using. I just can't fathom this. Why is that? Why haven't we been better at that?
Well, I think that some of the policies that have been in place have hindered the greatest talent in the world coming here. So
Hmm.
right now there are 350 people that are skilled at my level in quantum.
Hmm.
That's globally, and I'm number in the top three in three of those areas. So like each of us have the important mantle, first of all, that we have to share our talent with proteges. So I have three proteges right now. In case something happens to me, they have my knowledge. That's the first thing. And
Right.
then the second thing is that we have to be able to look at what is taking place before us and ensure that it can last for years. So, how do you simultaneously be forward thinking and work with people while also being stealth? And
Hmm.
that's the question about the quantum world. People in the past used to be in secure units talking behind embassies and diplomatic unions about nuclear warfare. They used to be talking about different types of attacks and hand-to-hand combat, guns, weapons. The fight of the future is really the fight of the brain and the technology. So we have to make it very sacred that we're constantly innovating and we're staying ahead. I think the problem with Europe right now is the European societies have really been able to sit on the laurels of the Marshall Doctrine
Hmm.
and been able to depend on the United States for more help. I, in my case, am a Anglophile. I'm 70% British. The rest of me is Scot and Irish and Norwegian. And so I love Europe, and I've spent a whole lot of time in England and in France, where I've worked with Michelin and other companies. And so I just really want to encourage Europeans and Americans to start to work together as a
Hmm.
cohesive unit and to, in the technology section, begin to share knowledge, number one. Number two, I think it's important that we have blended teams. Half the team is American and half is European, and that we learn from each other because that's where the best physicists, mathematics, encryption, and technological advancements take place. I think we have to have knowledge sharing in our higher ed institutions. Our adversaries are hitting the institutions across Europe and the United States right now because they want to take down our ability to think. And so we have to stand in that gap and to work together hand in hand, arm in arm, and stop this bickering amongst ourselves, because we won't be as good as we are today in the United States if we don't have a strong relationship with England and France and the rest of Europe.
Yeah, no, that's critical. And each time I go to France, I hear the same story. People don't feel safe anymore. Obviously, they're closer to Russia, they are closer to China, so they feel the threat being so present at all times. So yeah, obviously a collaboration would be fantastic. But there's also one thing that bothers me at the end of the day is why can't we all be in peace? I mean, what is this all about? Is that something that you see potentially evolving as I'm hoping that human consciousness maybe will eventually reach a higher level of understanding and of intelligence.
Yeah, as an empath, which I know you are, Catherine, I've studied you and I know you really care. You're highly intelligent and you really care about people. And I identify with that ethos, and that's very important to me. I truly believe that we can't ignore problems to solve them. The only way to solve problems is to go through them. And what I believe quantum computing does is that it holds the natural order of talent, the natural order of technology, and the natural order of how we relate as human beings and nations to a higher standard. The thing about the quantum world, the quantum universe, is there's a fourth, fifth, and sixth sense that exists. We know about the senses of the major senses that we have as humans, and we know about three dimensionality, but there's a sixth dimensionality that exists within the quantum universe, and it really holds everybody to a higher standard. And so AI malware cannot exist in a place where there's a quantum system, because the quantum computer will hold it accountable. And it's very difficult to understand, although quantum accounting and banking, or quantum warfare, like, might be a thought for people. And what's reality, if we're all equipped with quantum dynamics and we have those greater senses, we're not going to be at war. We're going to be working together to solve problems. And our brothers and sisters in China, Russia, Iran, North Korea are going to have to communicate with us in a more effective way. So I don't believe in a utopian society. I don't think warfare will completely ever go away, but I think we can reduce it by 60% within the next 20 years. And so I'm dedicating my life, every ounce of energy, time, and capability that I have to this cause. And then if I see that there's enough change and that my proteges can take over my businesses, then what I'm going to do is become Secretary of State.
Yes, exactly right. That's exactly what we need you to do. Well, I mean, 60% improvement, that's a huge number there. My God, I mean, that's big. So that's not something that just can be ignored. And that's the one thing that I love about technology. This is why I speak about this all the time. This is why I have people talk about this with me all the time. We have to embrace technology. It's not a foe. It's a tool that will allow us to advance our society, but also protect us and create collaborative efforts. And that's another thing that's the one thing I'd love you to speak about at Quanta. You have a unique method, right? You have quantum solutions. You have also workshops, and you also provide an ongoing support to companies that are interested in taking advantage of all of your systems. Would you mind speaking about this a little bit?
Yeah, so I find in my line of work, because I've kind of been doing it with just 6 people for the first few years, I found that there are very technical people that go in and audit a place that's been attacked, and they have a beautiful skill at being able to access what the problem is, but they don't know how to fix it. And so this earlier question about, why do things happen? I don't know why. I haven't felt like I'm a why person. I'm more of a how person. I just like to solve it. And so for me, like, the how it happens is because there's a negative attack. And then the how is you've got to respond to that in a way that the attack is repelled. And so that's what my team does, is we go in and we provide education, workshop, learning, knowledge, and ultimately we provide the methodology and the simulation that essentially studies all of the parts of the AI malware attack and the nanotechnology disruption. And then we put in place a simulator. So we diagnose the problem, we work with the government official to diagnose it. So we have that relationship. And through that relationship, we have a relationship with the buyer that lasts for a long period of time. And most of my buyers are people that are really been attacked about 3 times because they're quite successful. And so what we do is we help provide them with a solution so that never happens to them or to their people ever again. And it takes right now about 6 weeks to do education, but then it only takes about 6 weeks to actually solve the problem with the technology. It's quite expensive. It's a very intense process, but we really can solve any AI malware problem with quantum technology in the world in 6 weeks or less.
6 weeks is incredible. I mean, I can see that that is a huge benefit, because timing and time is critical in moments like that. You have to react fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
what industries are you serving the most, and what are the industries that are most threatened right now?
well, in the past 3 and 4 years, there are 5 that were most threatened. Federal agencies and higher education institutions were the top 2. and then hospitals, nonprofit organizations were there, and then the very last was normally multinational or enterprise. So that's kind of what we dealt with for 36 months. But then with these heightened attacks, the adversaries have become more clear about how to hurt us. And so they've gone into our critical infrastructure. And so nuclear power plants that are outdated, industrial plants that are outdated, waterways that have not been protected. All of these things happen because extremes on the left and right fight with each other and they attack each other. So really no progress is made. And then that critical infrastructure that we depend on for our grid and technology, that's currently what's most under attack. So the majority of the attacks in the last 6 weeks have been on our critical national infrastructure, not only in the US, but also in the UK and in France.
Wow. So, I mean, I would imagine the government is in a constant mode of investigating how to prevent that and make sure that they have the right partners. So, this is where you come in, because it has to be a dedicated, collaborative effort for this to succeed, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's a dedicated collaborative effort across government and industry to be able to work together. And my platform is being able to make it easily accessible to the government and to people across the country and across Europe so that they can be able to see that it's not rocket science. My goal is to make it simple for people to be able to understand that these components fit together, and this is how we solve these problems, is to utilize the tools that are available to us, which may include government subsidies and working with government officials to be able to protect and defend our ideals, our core values, our families, and our places of work. So if you think about it, there's just been a shift. Previously, it was like normal small entities, and now it's like large regional entities. So I have been developing a new type of technology. It's called RAI. It's a regional application technology that essentially goes out and studies how do we solve regional problems when a power plant or a grid is hurt, and what type of needs do we have from a quantum computing necessity to be able to solve those problems so that all of that group of people will be protected.
Yeah, I mean, having a system in place is critical. So you just mentioned government subsidies. I would imagine there are government grants. Is that something that most people, most companies, most industries can take advantage of?
Not yet, but
Okay.
I can help with that.
Okay, so you can facilitate that, because I'm sure that is a question that you're getting on a regular basis. I mean, it's the benefit of the government to make sure that everybody is protected here, right?
Yep, it's a really big point.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. Obviously, what you're doing, it's not only fascinating, it is so critical to have that awareness. And I'm hoping that most companies and businesses have that awareness as to what actually is happening. For me, it was a discovery. I knew there were threats. I didn't know there were threats to that level. So hopefully we can share that information everywhere. On a personal standpoint, Mark, what is it that you have faced in your life that has been the biggest roadblock? And how did you overcome that roadblock? And I can imagine quite a few. And the reason why I'm asking you this question is a lot of people are challenged right now. They don't know what their purpose is. We hear that everywhere. They feel like they are restricted in their abilities to make a difference in the world. What would you say to that?
For me as an entrepreneur, my favorite thing, which is very dangerous for me to hear, is you can't do that.
Yeah.
And my statement is, don't ever stop someone who's doing the good work from doing what they're called to do when all you want to do is try to critique it. And I am a very strong empath. So I have a good brain, but I have, disabilities with my eyes. And I have a guide dog. So when I take my eyes out, I have, can guide around at night. And I think my disability and being told that I can't do something because I'm blind, and that I have bionic eyes, and that makes me weird. That's been the thing that's kind of made it possible for me to be steadfast. It's almost like your um, your critics or disabilities can break you or they can make you stronger.
Yeah.
And I have chosen to make my life stronger. Now that doesn't mean I don't have bad days or I don't get down or depressed at some time, but as soon as I do that, I try to turn to gratitude and to look at all of the technologies and people and things that I've gotten to touch in my life, and to understand that no matter how dark it is or how deep the challenge is, I can always still keep going. I had 4 eye surgeries last month, and I was not able to leave the hospital because a nurse got in a very famous hospital accidentally put her hands in my eye, and it got me infected with meningitis and staph infection. And so I was in the IU, and it was when a hurricane hit my home, and I didn't want to bother my family, so I was there with my just alone. And I just remember, well, this is probably the most time I've been still in 47 years.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a great opportunity to process my life. And I've kept a journal since 1984. And so I just kind of went through in my mind all the journals, all the memories I couldn't see for that period of time. And I just thought about how nice it's going to be when my retinas and corneas are back and I can function again. And my hope is that whoever's listening to this knows that people like Catherine and I are here. We want to be lights. We want to be information focused. We want to help others. And you can reach out to people like us anytime that you want to create a collaboration, work together. I have fast growing companies and R&D labs that I would love to have strong talent. I'm hoping that after this second meeting with Catherine that I get to meet her a third and fourth time and just create stronger relationships, stronger commitments so that NATO can thrive and that we can work as a unit and we can create peace, democracy, well-being, and economic success in this world.
Oh my God, you just gave me chills. I mean, this is just such a powerful message. And what an example, Mark. What an example of resilience, of positivity. And this is why I tell everyone, we always have a reason to find the negative in our lives. We always have a chance to focus on what hurts us. But that leads nowhere. I mean, it's okay to be aware of it. But the one thing I have understood in my life lately, it's been recent because I went through lots of hard times too. But the one thing I have learned recently is that there is always a positive, even if it's a small positive. And if you have dark days, if you are challenged, if you want to give up on life, I really believe that when you focus on that small positive that you have and you stay focused on this, it will open doors to possibilities that you would have never imagined before. But that's key, is that positive focus and that belief and faith, and find that excitement, because even if the light is dim, even if you feel like it's going to completely disappear, there's always somewhere in darkness where you can find that light and that hope and that faith and that belief in all possible that will make you want to live again. And when I see people like you, it just makes me realize, oh my God, why am I even complaining? Why? It makes no sense. But you have to have that awareness, that realization, and examples like you that show you that everything is possible despite everything that could possibly happen in life.
I agree 100%. And I thank you, Catherine, so much for including me with the people that listen to you and to becoming my friend. And I hope that I can be part of supporting your show and your team as you continue to grow, and that your voice can just become stronger and stronger, because you've really made my day. And I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. So, Mark, if someone wants to get hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
Sure. My email is mark.davis. It's mark.davis at Quanta, Quanta, standard, standard.com. And my number is on Signal app. I take it on Signal app because I have it encrypted, and that's +1 828 526 6135, +1 828 526 6135.
Perfect. And we will write it down on the video. This way everybody will have this and can contact you. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Mark. What an honor. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Mark. Share it with your network. I think people need to be aware of everything he's doing and aware of what's going on so that they can take action and make sure that they are protected and they are in awareness of everything that's happening. Thank you again. And we will publish this on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Catherine.